evening, hello and welcome. You're watching Plain Speak here on CNN News 18 with me, Poonam Burde. On the 17th of January, the British Broadcasting Company, or the BBC, released the first part of its documentary, India, the Modi Question. A few days later, the government clamped down using its emergency powers. Tagging it malicious propaganda, the documentary was taken down from platforms like Twitter and YouTube. And since then, we've seen a renewed need to watch that documentary across many university campuses in the country. From JNU and Jamia here in the national capital to the Hyderabad Central University, screenings and protests have spread like wildfire. While many succeeded in screening the documentary, many others failed, with the university administrations cracking the whip. High drama has ensued just a few hours ago at the North Campus of the Delhi University. Defiance, disregard for the law of the land and complete breakdown of systems was witnessed in many of these universities. Now here's what is significant to note. All of these universities where students have been on a war path are in opposition-ruled states. Is that a pattern or is it just a coincidence? Are educational institutions being turned into political theatres because BJP and Prime Minister Modi's rivals are adding fuel to the fire? Before we find answers to those questions, I want to show you exactly what has transpired across the country today and in the last few days as well, as universities have been on a war path, like I said. Let me take you through all of the instances one by one. This is how centres of education have turned into centres of defiance and dharna. Let's begin with the first university. This is the Ambedkar University, the Ambedkar College in the national capital. Students watched the documentary on laptops after they claimed that the administration had cut the power because they didn't allow them to screen the movie for a larger audience. Then we had another university that came up, and that was in the national capital as well. Several such universities. This one is the Delhi University. Protests were erupting there. We had students being detained just a few minutes ago. There's high drama that is taking place at the North Campus even as we speak. And we are going to cut across to that and to our reporters on ground in just a bit. But taking you forward to more such universities where this kind of drama has ensued. This is from the Hyderabad Central University, where the students' wing did manage to screen the documentary despite the administration saying that they will not have any permission. But there was an audience that was gathered and they did manage to see that particular documentary. Moving on now to another university. This is in Madras College, where too the administration said no, this is not something that the government has allowed permission for, so you cannot watch it and there cannot be a public screening, which is why we then had these students remove their phones, remove their laptops, sit on the floor in their campuses and watch it right then and there. A QR code was also generated and passed on to share that link. That happened in Tamil Nadu. Cut across to another state in this country, and this is from JNU. Back in the national capital, we saw how there was alleged stone pelting as claimed by the JNUSU a few days ago. They said the ABVP did not let them go ahead with the screening. Then again, there was allegations of power being cut by the JNU administration, which is why the screening couldn't happen. This march happened late last night over the alleged crackdown by the JNU administration, as well as the alleged stone pelting by the ABVP as well. This is happening here in the national capital. Moving on to Kolkata in West Bengal, where at the Presidency University as well, the SFI unit of the student wing there decided to go ahead and screen the movie. This is part one, of course, of the documentary. So what exactly seems to be the problem? Why are we seeing students raise hackles? Is it the documentary itself, or is it the government cracking the whip that has triggered this entire brouhaha? Now here are two sides of that very coin, and let me break it down for you. As far as what the students are saying, they say that the documentary or the docu-series has not been entirely banned, so you cannot stop us from watching it. What they do fail to understand is, though, that it has been taken down from these platforms as per the law of the land, which is the Rule 16 of the IT rules of 2021. There is a law, and using emergency powers, the government has decided to take it down. The students claim that the screening was blacked out in several universities, like in JNU as well a few days ago. Stone pelting by BJP student wing was also alleged in JNU. What they do not see is that the centre was warning exactly about this. The centre said this film has the potential to create a unworldly law and order situation. It could go out of hand, and which is why it needs to be pulled down, which is what the government had also said. The students then went on to say that this is censorship. You cannot censor, you cannot decide what the people of this country can watch and what they cannot. Now, the government says, and that is what has been the view, and that is what has been the law of the land as well. The Supreme Court of this particular country has exonerated the Prime Minister, the then Chief Minister of Gujarat, as far as the 2002 riots case is concerned. Aren't these students then undermining that as well? Now, university campuses are cradles of expression and free speech, is what these students are saying, which is why we're well within our rights to watch this documentary and nobody can stop us. The counter-argument to that is, this is malicious propaganda, as said by the central government, and that cannot be pushed in the garb of free speech or freedom. So who exactly is pushing the envelope here? We are seeing war break out like wildfire in several universities here in India. Have campuses now become political akhadas or battlefields? That's the question we ask here on Plain Speak.
To the Muslim community. And if you look at it in that way,
it was to build anew the millions of people.
Remain over Mr. Modi's head for a long time and they'll remain over him now.
Please stand for democracy.
Before I bring in my guests, I want to get you some breaking news coming in, and the drama at our campuses continues. Students are now protesting at the Presidency University in Kolkata in West Bengal. They claim that there was a power cut in the common room where they were to watch the documentary that has been taken down. Kamalika, my colleague, now joins us from on ground there at Presidency College. Kamalika, do take us through what exactly is transpiring there.
Yeah, absolutely. As you can see, I will ask my camera person to show that this is the students. They are in a constant protest because they started the screening and after that, suddenly there was power cut. So according to the students, it is the authorities who have done it, would like to talk to the students because they were actually in front of the dean. They were trying to protest there and they were doing a constant protest. Just like to talk to them. Can you please say that why are you protesting now?
The screening had begun and it had completed half an hour. Then suddenly the electricity was cut by the authority. So we registered a protest against the incompetent authority who firstly did not want to allow the screening. And then when the students united together and ultimately the screening was successful, they decided a devious method in order to stop it.
Why are you saying that the authorities is behind this power cut?
Because firstly, when we initially planned the screening, when the authority initially planned the screening, they firstly refrained from giving us a permission, and then when all the students decided that they would see the screening come no matter what, they ultimately said that if there would be any repercussions, any consequences of the screening, they would refrain from getting involved, and any repercussions would be on the students themselves.
Now will you again show it when the current comes?
Yes, the current has come back, as I've heard, and we are again planning to resume
we'll try to show that here. This is the common room where the screening was taking place, and there was sudden power cut, and there was a continuous protest by the students. And again, the power has come. That's what they say. We'll try to know it from them. If I ask my camera person to come, I'll ask them what. Now you will again show what happened.
We talked to the authority. The authority was very indifferent about this, and it claimed that it was just a mistaken power fuse. It was not intentional, but we completely understand that it was intentional because the authority was even against. It did not give us the basic permission also, and even threatened us that we'll have to face consequences if we screened it. And so the authority actually did that, and it proved that it is actually a stooge of the state government. But after seeing the huge mass that was agitating in front of the dean's office, the authority finally actually succumbed to our demands.
So now again the documentary will be shown?
Yes, the documentary will be screened now. We will screen the documentary. The students are coming back, as you can see, and the documentary will be screened like we said.
There was a constant half-an-hour protest by the students of Presidency University, and they were of the opinion that it is the authorities who have done it. And now again the power has come, and can see that the students, they are again, they are sitting here and they are very confident and that they will again see this documentary. So that is there where half an hour continuous protest was going on in Presidency University.
Right, that's what's happening in West Bengal on ground there in Kolkata at the Presidency University. But similar scenes were witnessed here in the national capital as well at the North Campus of the Delhi University, where we had students gather for a similar screening. But the Delhi police was called in. All of them were detained and there was massive drama that was witnessed just a few minutes ago. Even as we speak now, the students are still there. Some of them, of course, have been detained. The police has been making it clear that there are rules in place. You cannot have a gathering. We were called in by the administration to ensure that no untoward incident takes place, which is why we were there. My colleague Sharon is reporting live from the Delhi University. We're given to understand the police is on ground there. Let's listen into what's happening there.
सिचुएशन यहाँ बिल्कुल नॉर्मल है, पीसफुल है, ट्रैफिक चल रहा है, आम जनता यहाँ आ जा रही है।
बच्चे हैं अंदर अभी भी कुछ
नहीं, इस समय जो प्रोटेस्टर यहाँ कोई नहीं है। अंदर हमने जो बाहर से जायजा लिया है और जो रिपोर्ट आ रही है, कोई प्रोटेस्टर इस समय या कोई वो जो स्क्रीन लगाने आए थे वो नहीं है। और 24 बच्चों को, जैसे कि मैंने बताया, बच्चे या जो भी शख्स जो लोग थे उनको हिरासत में लिया है। उनके ऊपर भी अभी जो लीगल होगा।
कैंपस की तरफ से कोई कंप्लेन की गई है?
कैंपस की तरफ से हमें जब अंदर अलाउ होगा तो रिटर्न में एक आया कि आप लोग जाएं, अंदर जाएं। हमारी अभी तैयारी अंदर जाने की थी, तभी पता चला कि अंदर वो डिस्पर्स हो गया।
तो लेटर आपको परमिशन दिया अंदर जाने का, लेकिन अब जरूरत नहीं है, आप ये बताएं।
अभी इस समय सिचुएशन नॉर्मल है।
कल साहब ये भी कहा जा रहा है कि कुछ छात्र बाहर के दूसरे कॉलेज के यहाँ पर आए हुए हैं जो हंगामा कर रहे हैं।
ये चीज के हम इंक्वायरी में देखेंगे।
Sharon, my colleague, is on ground there outside the Delhi University from where we were getting this reaction coming in from the Delhi police. There is no need to enter the campus anymore is what the administration has confirmed to the police, is what he just told us. The situation now is fine. There is absolutely no tension as the police just confirmed. But Sharon, my colleague, is joining us live from there. And Sharon, it was just a few minutes ago where we had seen massive protests there break out. Some of them were also detained.
Well, that is right. In fact, there were calls that was made by the NSUI as well as Beam Army. There was fraternity movement also under the organization which was in fact inside the campus. They were resisting the detaining by the Delhi police, and that is why, because they were large in numbers, there were around 100 to 200 students who were inside. They were attempting to screen the BBC documentary, and that is why just moments ago the Delhi University Chief Proctor had in fact come here, handed over a permission letter to Delhi police saying that in case there are more students who are left inside, they can enter the campus and can take or detain these students. But now the DCP of North has in fact just spoken to us, and he has told us that how the situation has in fact come to normal. In total, 24 students have been detained since 4 p.m. today, because there were several attempts that were made by several students' organization to in fact screen the documentary, and overall 24 students have in fact been detained. And there was right now we have seen few of the students who are left, for which the Delhi University Proctor has asked the Delhi police, in case they seem right, they can go ahead and enter the campus and take the necessary action. But that is not needed. Overall, the protest and the screening has in fact come to an end at the art faculty in Delhi University.
Right. So for now, the situation is calm. Everything is under control. Sharon, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that. Let me open this up to the panelists that we have here on this broadcast. Rashmi Sawant, former president of the Student Union at University of Oxford, joins us. ABVP activist and a PhD student at JNU, Prince Kumar, is also with me. Professor Dinesh Varshney, professor at JNU and a leader of the CPI, also with me on this broadcast. And political analyst George Kurian also joins us. And Professor Varshney, I'd like to begin with you. We've seen several such political issues come up as far as JNU is concerned. It is one of those universities from where there are student wings that are extremely prominent that wants to eventually make their foray into politics. But these are centers of education. Should we turn them into training grounds or training schools for politics, and for them to stop being educational centers all along? Because some would say that is what they are turning into being.
Look, Poonam, the universities are not only meant to create the degree holders. Universities are meant to create and develop the future philosophers of the world. When you develop the future philosophers of the world, you cannot say that you are not supposed to discuss the politics or not to do politics. Politics governs the nation. Earlier, the politics were governing the regions. Now, the politics governs the nation. Since politics governs the nation, it affects in each and every aspects of life, each and every aspects of environment, each and every aspects of the surroundings of us.
Sure.
So you cannot deny it. I believe that we believe that the government of India has committed a serious mistake by issuing a gag order on the BBC documentary in the age of information. You cannot do this thing nowadays. You know it very well. Why have you done this thing? Why have you made a mockery of the system?
Mr. Varsity, there are specific reasons why the government has done it. They said that there is a possibility that this could communally divide sections of society. This could also create untoward instances. And in the recent past, we have seen perhaps that coming true as well. The kind of protest that we've seen, the alleged stone pelting as claimed by the JNU-SU as well, this is exactly what the centre was warning against, isn't it?
Look, the communalism and communal politics in this country is done by the only organization is RSS BJP. They are the governors of the country nowadays. They are the government of the country nowadays. If they
but they are not the ones who are out on streets and holding protests and indulging in stone pelting. It's the students.
Poonam, look. There is nothing wrong. More than many MPs have seen this film. They are on social media. They say nothing new in this film. All we know is already there. Then what is the problem to the government?
Sure. And I'm glad you bring that up. Sure, I'm glad you bring that up. Our opposition leaders tweeting out these links, because that's exactly what I want to ask. Is the opposition actually fueling this fire? And George Kurian, we've seen several opposition leaders, like Dinesh Varshney also said, put out these links on social media, asking people to go watch it. We had several units of the Congress hold screenings for people. If the government has come out and said that this is propaganda, this documentary goes on to undermine the highest court of this country, why should we not then stand as one country and not as different political parties? Are political parties within the opposition trying to fuel this fire and keep the pot burning when they shouldn't?
Well, Poonam, not really. The opposition here is not trying to fuel the entire scenario. One has to understand the government in the first place shouldn't have gone ahead and banned the entire episode from the BBC, which is a renowned media house. And please understand that BBC today, when they come out with any publication or documentary, they very well understand the consequences behind the documentary, because they can know that they can be sued for no reason. So they have investigated the entire episode and the events that has taken place under Mr. Modi post 2014. So that's when they have come out with this documentary, number one. Number two, students, when the age of from 18 to 26, 27, that's the age when the students are fearless. They are not bothered about what consequences this will have in their future. And these are emerging students who have a political ambitions in life. And the country has seen so many of the student leaders who have emerged as leaders of the nation, and they are become members of parliament.
Sure.
So having said that, I strongly believe the government is actually blowing this out of proportion. There is no need for the government to put a ban on any of the documentary. It should be free. India is a secular nation by constitution. The documentary should be released, and the public and the students will let them watch the documentary to understand what exactly has transformed in this nation under Narendra Modi.
Sure, it's the censorship that seems to be the problem. The government is the only one to be held responsible, is what many would say. But the government pulling down these documentaries or these docu-series from social media platforms like Twitter and YouTube happened a few days ago. We've been seeing comments coming in from the opposition leaders in the backdrop of that after that ban actually came to the fore. We also see these protests and these screenings, the adamant nature of the students' union that we've seen across these universities to come out and screen that particular documentary. It's all happened in the recent past. And Rashmi Samant, I would like to get you in as someone who has headed a student organization in a university such as Oxford. Yes, these are institutions where you have to ensure that there is a healthy discussion. Dissent should be welcomed, because that's just how you make better leaders, you make better people out of your students. But can we have a situation where it eventually boils down to it being just that? many would say the JNU is getting a notorious or an infamous tag of being just that, because that's all we see coming out of universities like JNU.
Well, I think there should be, as a university, there should be a healthy discussion between both sides, and because it's learning grounds. But it turning into the kind of situation that JNU has is actually very alarming. I think that kind of environment is very toxic, and that furthering is actually, it's not in the best spirit of education. That being said, I think in the age of information, it is very important to differentiate between misinformation and well-informed sort of media docu-series, because we have seen clearly how misinformation can quickly turn to on-street violence. And the documentary does not pay any heed to the Supreme Court findings of India, but on a report that a former, UK Foreign Secretary by the name Jack Straw commissioned, and he himself is not investigated for his role in the Iraq invasion. The kind of human rights abuses that went on during that invasion, and the so-called weapons of mass destruction which were never found. So this being the sort of preset to everything, and 2024 being election year, it just seems like foreign powers, because BBC is a public funded corporation. It's a UK funded, the British tax-paying citizens funded. So it's a public funded organization in the UK. So it looks a lot like foreign interference in a duly democratic, country, and the upcoming elections that they're trying to have. So I think this is very unhealthy. And in the age of information, in the age of social media, in the age of quick turnaround media that we have, it is important to, mark the right from the wrong. Because we've clearly seen in Leicester how misinformation led to on-street riots, how it led to loss of property, to, to damage to people and, to communities. So this kind of misinformation does have that kind of a lifespan, and the university is trying to push this further, clearly points to the same nefarious agendas that the people making such docu-series in the first place have.
Sure, and like you said, the BBC is a public funded organization, and so are universities like JNU. They are centrally funded. It is the taxpayers' money that aids universities like this, which is why many are asking today, is it the taxpayers' money that is going down the drain? Because apart from education, all we're seeing in the last couple of days is these kind of protests, the kind of adamant behavior that we've seen from these student wings wanting to screen this particular documentary just because the government has decided to take it off. It's like saying that you don't want us to see it, so we're going to see it with vengeance, which is also why we're seeing several opposition leaders posting these links on their social media. And I would like to get in Prince Kumar as well. He is an ABVP activist and a student currently at the JNU. And over the last couple of days, Prince Kumar, we've seen drama unfold there. ABVP was also accused of stone pelting while the JNUSU tried to screen the documentary a couple of days ago. Is violence really the answer?
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, Prince, go ahead.
Am I audible? Hello?
Prince, we can hear you. Go ahead.
My answer to this question will be that ABVP was never involved in such violence. In fact, ABVP was not even informed about this protest or something which is going on. Students were busy with their day-to-day activities. Even they are sitting in the library. All of a sudden, when there was a power cut, students realized that, some protests are going on. And at that time, two of our activists, Gaurav and Vikas, they were dragged, they were heckled by the left-wing student union, and they were badly dragged in front of the media cameras. So my point is that the university is there for the discussion, there for studying and creating new leaders. But is this a way that we are going to produce new leaders, or is this a way we are going to discuss something? No, ABVP was never involved, and ABVP has not taken any of the initiatives of the violence.
Sure.
Even till now, we have not even touched any of the people or person over there. And now, every time when it comes to JNU, always ABVP is blamed to be for the violence. But there is never an involvement of the ABVP. Even admin has blocked this. So where ABVP stands there? Nowhere. in this.
Right, and like you said,
picture.
this is not the first
Secondly,
time. I
my
was coming
point
to
is
that. Several
Ma'am,
instances in the past as well where the JNU-SU has claimed that ABVP was the one that was actually provoking. In this particular case, would you say it was the other way around?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, it was the other way around. Even cameras or videographies are there that they were heckling the students, dragging the students, activists from ABAP. They were not. We were not involved there.
Sure. Sure, so
ABAP
that
was
blame
not
game
involved
continues.
there.
Right, that blame game continues. But unfortunately, we are seeing more and more universities that are coming out, student unions at these universities, at these colleges, wanting to screen this particular docu-series, going against what the government has said, that this is malicious propaganda. It has the potential to disturb law and order. It also has the potential to create unease among sections of society. Now, George Kurian, I want to ask you, is it a mere coincidence that all of these universities are from non-BJP states?
Well, not really, Poonam. See, one has to understand that this is an age when students are determined about, and they are well informed about, and it's a digital world, So the amount of suppression on students will not work. So the government should go ahead and give them a free run to watching of the BBC documentary. And see, if there is no truth or there is the documentary is not fake, the government should ensure that it is open for all to go and watch it and come to a conclusion.
But if the government is saying that this is malicious propaganda, it disregards completely the law of the land. The fact that the highest court of this country has exonerated the Prime Minister, the then Chief Minister of Gujarat, and that happened over 2 decades. The entire case going on from 2002 to 2022, when the exoneration came in, it was a 2-decade-long legal hurdle or a legal battle that was fought, and that is when the Supreme Court decided that there isn't enough evidence to substantiate the claims that were being made against the now Prime Minister and then Chief Minister. Why should we disregard all of that and try and peddle what the government says is propaganda as far as the BBC docu-series is concerned? George Kurian.
Well, as we all know that the BBC documentary is not trying to malign the image of Mr. Modi or, for that matter, India. See, it's an investigative journalism that has come to the foray, and it's on record from the Foreign Secretary and the Foreign Ministry. So I strongly believe that the government should, instead of going in and banning the entire series, it should be free for everyone to watch it and come to a conclusion. And if there is nothing fake or something which is not untrue, the government should not be very bothered about the same. And the more you try to suppress something from publishing, it creates an element of doubt in the minds of the people and the students that there is something which is the truth into the entire documentary. That's the reason it's been the government is trying to ban it, because this shows the nervousness and the frustration by the government or media. For that matter, the Modi or his associates, because today they are fearing that their situation or their leadership within their own party is at stake.
Sure. So you say this is the desperation of the central government or of the BJP. But Dinesh Varshney, if the opposition wants students and universities to watch this particular documentary, then why not have conversation of the other side as well? Why not acknowledge that there seems to be an attempt to paint this as one-sided? The fact that it does not acknowledge at all the clean sheet that was given by the Supreme Court. Why not have a conversation on that as well? Why doesn't the opposition speak about that too?
Look, Poonam, as a matter of principle, as and when in the course of history, the reality has been and the facts has been denied, it hurts the democratic rights of the people. Hurting of the democratic rights of the people hurts the rights of the people in matters of economy, in matters of society, in matters of culture and everything. And it hurts in India specific, which is a country of unity and diversity. It will hurt in many aspects. It is better to learn the lesson of the failure of controlling the 2002 government Gujarat rights, communal rights under the chief ministership of Prime Minister Modi ji. And that will help us to see to it that in future these type of mistakes shall not be committed by the state. Sure. This is necessary to know. And these gag orders in the age of information, neither America can do, nor India can do. So one should understand these things. You have put up the ban that further has created the curiosity. More than half of the population, Poonam, I am telling you, more than half of the population of India have already seen this film. More than half of the legislators of the country have already seen this film. How can you arrest all of them? Can you stop all of them?
But no one is being arrested, sir. And the problem isn't even that these people are watching. Like you said, many in this country have watched it because curiosity has peaked. But the point as far as universities or these colleges are concerned is that there is an unease among the administration as well, that there could be an untoward law and order situation, which is why they are denying permission.
No.
Why then, Rashmi Samant, I would like to get you in.
Only one thing.
Yes, go ahead.
Look, universities may deny the permission, but law and order pretext is always there as and when some anti-government thing happens in the universities nowadays, especially in the government universities.
So should there be no regard for anything at all?
By this government. Arey Baba, in emergency, Comrade Sitaram Yechury submitted a memorandum to Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. When Indira Gandhi came to the convocation of in Delhi University, me and other Dusu office bearer at that time, I was a student leader, submitted a protest letter to Indira Gandhi just before the convocation. She never objected. Nowadays, the problem is whosoever criticizes the government, either you have been put under UAPA, ED goes, income tax goes, gag order comes. You see what is hidden work.
But like you said in your own words, like you said, Dinesh Varshne, in your own words, this gag order clearly isn't working because a lot more people have now watched it because curiosity has peaked. But coming back to the point as far as whether or not these universities and centers of education have turned into political battlefields and turned into training schools for politicians, and is that all that it has come down to? I'd like to get in Rashmi Samant as well. As far as Indian politics is concerned, we do know that several of these student wings, most of them actually, are affiliated to mainstream political parties. When we see such kind of issues, of course, not all protests that are led by these student unions are politically motivated. But when we have issues like this, where we also have the opposition raising a certain slant or raising certain questions, Rashmi Samant, then can we divorce the two?
Well, to reiterate my point, I think this kind of, heavy politicization of on-campus atmospheres is actually very toxic and against the very sanctity of education. I think as far as campuses are involved, it's okay to have a healthy debate. But this level of politicization, it feels like, the battlegrounds have now shifted to JNU. It's every day in and day out, there are, untoward incidences like this. And, if there is, if incidences are, there's so much violence and so much protest day in and day out.
Rashmi, I am very sorry. Rashmi, I am very sorry. It is not only JNU. More than
Professor Varshne, I'll get you in. Professor Varshne, I'll get you in. Let her finish her point. I'll get you in.
So then, you very much question if, education is what's happening and whether this is healthy debate. But more than that, it feels like it's more of politically motivated and, sort of this external interference. It feels more like that to somebody on the outside looking in. And I think we are free to have this perspective because this is what we see. And as an educational institution, I think it's taken it far too along. They're okay to have their freedoms and everything. It's okay because maybe they are future political leaders, but that does not mean that you make your campus a political battleground.
Absolutely, and that's really what the problem is also, because like I said, most of these universities, most of these colleges are publicly funded. It is the taxpayers' money, and we would really like that money being seen going into something that is useful and not really protests like these, adamancy coming in from student wings just because they are being stopped by the administration. There has to be some law and order, some rules need to be followed, and if it is the administration of the college or of the government here in India that has set certain rules, then they need to be followed. We leave it at that. I thank all my panelists for joining us here on debate number 1.